Hi, good afternoon. I guess AI is in the air. Lots of AI today and AI infrastructure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about winning the AI energy race, but with a different twist. I'm not going to talk about data centers, cooling, and microarchitecture and stuff like that. So what I'll talk about is enabling sustainable enterprise AI through software, platforms, people. How do we change the way we look at processes? And that's pretty much my plan. And we'll show you how you can get to your sustainability goals of your enterprise through software, data operations, and best practices for building agents and brand new apps. That's going to be the key thing going forward. So just as a quick check, how many people are into enterprise IT software over here? Okay, only a few hands. So let me give you a quick idea of what anybody heard about Nutanix? Okay, quite a few. So Nutanix is a platform company. I mean, it started off as a data management company, and it's still a data management company morphed into a platform company. And we provide platform software that pretty much runs any workload, any application, and it runs anywhere. And guess what? What's the new application in town? It's not just AI, but it's actually an AI agent. The way we want to transform our enterprises is to have intelligent agents that do automation, that do human-like tasks. Human-like, not exactly human. So what's an agent? An agent is basically a new set of software that leverages not just one large language model, several large language models that can mimic human cognitive processes. So it can plan, it can talk to different tools, and it can talk to different kinds of environment, whether it's a web search environment or a data warehouse or something, right? And it gets all the data, just like we humans grab information from the outside world, and it starts thinking and reasoning and critiquing, it's called reflection, and then taking actions. And we keep going on and on because that's how we solve complex problems. So in the enterprise, you are going to interact. I mean, we in the enterprise going forward will interact with many of these, I call them digital minions or AI agents. So that's your new workload. Now imagine you have to kind of deploy tens of these agents in your enterprise IT infrastructure. So what would be these agents? So if you look at your own companies, you'll see that there are all these departments who are evaluating this new ChatGPT or tools like Anthropic, ChatGPT, and Google AI. So basically, they're looking for a couple of common things. Most of the enterprise customers of ours, and when I talk to them, they look at, their divisions are looking at how do I talk to my data and my documents and answer questions, and maybe come up with some interesting kind of insight that helps me take an action. So so that you can do insights and actions. So whether it's sales data to take basically actions for your sales team, or your support teams will also talk to your own data. And then there is another class of AI agent use cases in the software engineering divisions. So for example, most software engineers are trying to use AI agents, AI tools to be more productive. So that's, again, as you can see that you go to any department and you can see that there will be at least one use case for a digital agent, which your teams are already looking at or they're already put into production. So now, let's say a company a large company has hundreds of agents eventually. Not initially, maybe this year they'll have tens of agents. Now, where do these agents run? And how do you manage all of this? This determines your sustainability metrics of your company. Because AI agents use large language models, that's your biggest and the most intense part of your compute infrastructure today. It probably, if you look at the power footprint or the carbon footprint, you'll see the most of your power and energy footprint is consumed by these large language models. So accelerating sustainable AI, my hypothesis is it's basically figuring out how do you create a set of consistent infrastructure to run all your AI agents, which means all the models that's needed for your building, deploying these AI agents, very simple. So when you simplify the operations of your agentic workloads and your LLMs, you basically advance in your goal towards sustainability. So let's take a look at this, right? So most enterprises today, they tend to deploy large language models at wherever their data is or wherever they want to make business decisions. And that does not need to only necessarily be in the cloud or in the data center or in the edge, but it can be in all these locations. So basically, if you look at your company and you think about where you're making business decisions, if you're in a retail store, it might be at the edge. If you're a pure software SaaS company, you're in the cloud. So depending on that, we believe that depending on where your business needs are, you will actually deploy LLMs all the way to the edge. And in order to manage your infrastructure, you will probably need a very consistent way of running your infrastructure, deploying your infrastructure to build these models and run these models. So again, I won't, due to lack of time, I won't go into all our metrics, but just to highlight of this slide is what your company probably cares about is efficiency, data operations and intelligence and resilience. So if you can have metrics for efficiency, metrics for how fast you can basically resolve your operational issues, because then you get more sustainable. And you have to be resilient. Your data has to be resilient. Your infrastructure has to be resilient. Basically, your workloads have to be resilient. Imagine you have an important agent and that infrastructure is compromised, or the data that the agent is working on is compromised. So you need business continuity. So it's a little blurb about how we are looking at agentic applications. So our goal is to provide you with a consistent infrastructure that you can deploy anywhere, whether it's at the edge or on your data center or in the public cloud, because by having this consistency, you can actually get to more efficient operations, efficient processes. So let's imagine the digital minion that we talked about. What does it take to run it? You need some infrastructure. Whether it's in the cloud or on-premise, you'll still need basic bare metal servers or virtual machines. And you'll need storage, of course, to store your data, because data is probably the most valuable asset that you have. And then you'll need Kubernetes. So that's another thing that I want to highlight, that to drive towards consistency, you essentially have to consider running all your applications or AI applications on containers, and you need to manage that. And you need new kinds of databases, like vector databases. So you have to choose basically what are the consistent databases that you want to deploy, because you can get a bespoke vector database that's really cool, but then you need to manage multiple databases. And can you select databases where you could do both your relational workloads as well as vector database workloads, or your document search workloads and your vector database? So essentially consolidate your workload into fewer bases and manage them well. And the other part that we've just introduced is Nutanix Enterprise AI. Essentially, it's a shared service to manage all LLM and other, in general, any kind of LLM endpoints, so that you can do this more efficiently, and that leads to more sustainability. So anyway, due to lack of time, I won't describe what the product is, but I wanted to tell you, typically, if you are a developer, how many developers versus how many operators? Developers? Operators? So typically when a developer develops an agent, they use about 4 to 5 large language models. There's some app logic, and then there's some LLMs, and they go to an AI factory. I'm sure you've heard about that term these days, and they build their app. It's very easy to build the app with open source. And all you need is a bunch of GPUs or accelerators of some sort, and you run your inference for 4 models, and you're done. Then the second engineer comes and says, I need to build the agent too, so give me the resources. And then, as you increase the number of engineers, it becomes very complex. Now you have so many things. Your security, envelope has suddenly increased exponentially, and it's become a little more expensive. And I'm sure, we've heard talks today where the whole idea is to make inference more efficient, right? So how do you make inference efficient? There are many ways to do it. You can do it with better quantization, better hardware, better offloading of KV cache. But another way to do it is to have shared inference endpoints, so that you don't need this for everybody. Everybody doesn't need their bespoke endpoints and burning up more accelerators. So that's what we actually do with Nutanix Enterprise AI. It's a shared endpoint service. You can run bunch of, any kind of large language models, and we give you access control and data operation and lifecycle management, which that overall leads to your enterprise sustainability goals. So that your infrastructure is simple, it's shared, your enterprise IT has full control over what needs to happen to the infrastructure, and they can replicate this on the edge, or it can in your data center and in the cloud identically, so that they need less processes to deal with their entire gamut of infrastructure. And by doing this, what we get is simplicity. It becomes more easy to secure, and it becomes more efficient. And that's what you care about when you evaluate your sustainability goals of an enterprise, not just your chip or your storage or your data center, but the entire enterprise. Sustainability goals is a function of the efficiency across your technology and your people and process stack. So a couple of takeaways is that the way we do it technologically is we try to have a single layer of infrastructure to manage all your applications and LLMs and everything. So we focus on Kubernetes. So the take-home, if I can give you 2 take-home messages, one is Kubernetes, the other is shared AI endpoints, shared LLM endpoints for inference, and let the infrastructure folks really drive down the efficiency from the API endpoint all the way to silicon and the data center and the cooling, so that the enterprise software folks can focus on their agents that drive business transformation. And by the way, in the process, let's not forget that there's going to be a lot of innovation in the CPU space, in the SoC space, in the GPU space, in general, compute space, to drive down this efficiency. So let's have think about a landscape where we have heterogeneous accelerators and processing units, and we kind of, what we do is we kind of create a homogeneous compute layer with Kubernetes, and and give consistency to operations. So new workloads, 4 to 5 LLMs, heterogeneous infrastructure. Think about Okay, that's my. Yeah, so essentially, focus on consolidation of infrastructure. Thank you.